Meta is launching more parental supervision tools for Facebook and Instagram. The company adding new tools to help monitor teens' activities on social media. So the question now is it enough? Let's bring in CNET senior editor Nick Wolny for his take on the new tools. Welcome, always nice to see you.
Likewise.
So how will these notifications work, and are they enough to combat all of the time teens spend online?
Meta has been spending this entire year rolling out additional parental controls, additional features. This most recent set that was just announced this morning specifically refers to tools for Messenger. So a parent's going to be able to see if their teenager or their child, who they're messaging, if they have blocked someone, then there is going to be an option for the parent to be able to see who has been blocked. They're also going to be able to see the number of mutual contacts. This is part of Meta's effort to just bolster parental controls. Whether or not those parental controls are effective is kind of another story, right? It really comes down to the family dynamics and, you know, is a child actually going to tell their parent that they're up late at night scrolling on Instagram in bed? So we'll see what happens with that. But because of the magnifying glass that has been under Facebook and Meta throughout the year, they're trying to roll out more features to help.
I always say it comes down to whether the kid can outsmart the parent and usually they can.
Well, and I think also that a lot of that is on the parent too, to just be aware of what the controls are. There are so many more controls that have rolled out in the last 12 to 18 months because there is so much legislation buzz regarding social media. Do we need to clamp down on a minimum age? Do we need to clamp down on a certain amount of screen time and just make a hard government-related decision on that? So I think that's why we're seeing a lot more features roll out lately.
All right, we have you here. We have to talk about AI, as we usually do, because it's being used for nefarious purposes. People are creating scams. They're on the rise. And hackers are now looking to replace your voice or the voice of your loved ones. Super creepy.
Yeah, there's been a big rise in voice scams. So we know from previous scam hygiene not to click on a link in an email, not to click on a link in a text message. But now there's a new kind of scam emerging, and that is hackers replicating a loved one's voice using artificial intelligence. So what they need about 20 seconds of audio of a particular loved one, which they might be able to pull off of social media, something like that. So that's something to be aware of. And they'll actually replicate your loved one's voice and then use their voice, use that voice technology to call you, usually with some sort of distressful situation. Oh, I just got into a car accident. Oh, you know, I'm in another country.
I'm in jail.
And, yeah, I'm in jail. That's actually a common one, right? Something that's going to create distress and create urgency. That is going to be important for the person who's being scammed to say, oh, I need to jump to the rescue. And so it's important for people to keep in mind that AI voice is now becoming mainstream in scam technology.
So how do you protect yourself? Because I mean, if it sounds exactly like the person's voice, how are you supposed to know?
So there are a couple things that you can take into consideration. One is being aware of how scammers tend to get money from you. They will usually use some sort of untraced payment method. Perhaps it's asking for a gift card, a prepaid gift card, or like a cryptocurrency or something like that. That's the source of a lot of scams, because then you can't track the actual money being moved. Another one to be aware of is consider using a code word or consider calling your loved one back. Say, hey, can I just call you right back? And you call them back on their cell phone or what you know is their contact information to just determine that it's actually them and it's not some random phone number coming from some other completely different place. Consider also having a code word or just something that lets you know that the loved one you're talking to is that person. You can sometimes tell because of the voice being perhaps a little slower or modulating a little differently than how your loved one actually talks, but it's getting awfully close, and AI is getting more and more intelligent with every passing month.
Yeah, because it can have full-on conversations and reply to the questions people ask. What are some other best practices we should know about when it comes to data sharing?
I think with all of this, it's good to be aware of an idea called sharenting. Of course, another buzzword for us tech people. So it's when parents are sharing content that involves their kids or involves their teens. That's great to share that you had an awesome birthday party, but just keep in mind that there is this whole movement, this hacker movement, where hackers will track teenagers, they'll track children, and then when they turn 18, they've got a lot of data on them, they've got a lot of information on them. They'll try to open bank accounts in their name, they'll try to open credit cards in their name, things like that. And so just be mindful of how much data you're sharing when you are sharing photos of your family or videos of your family or of your children. It's called sharenting. It allows hackers to create data points about your kids or about teenagers, but you can be mindful and you can help mitigate that by perhaps not just showing everything all the time when it comes to data sharing.
All right, all good tips, because it's hard to keep up with the criminals and how they're outsmarting all of us.
Yeah, I think
in such a nefarious way.
being informed is just kind of the best approach.
Well, that's why we love having you here, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can find out more information about CNET by going to kcalnews.com and clicking Seen on TV.